The UN resolution on aid for Gaza didn't include a call for a ceasefire. What do we make of this resolution, and will humanitarian aid for Gaza actually reach civilians in need? I spoke earlier with Rabbi Ya'akov Mנקין, Managing Director at Coalition for Jewish Values. Thanks for joining me here today, Rabbi Ya'akov Mנקין. The UN approving a resolution on aid to Gaza, now without call for suspension of hostilities. What was your immediate reaction hearing this?
Well, thank you for having me. And, you know, the immediate reaction is that this sounds like it's acceptable language because it does not call for cessation of hostilities. The only way to have a sustainable ceasefire is for Hamas to be utterly eradicated. They have broken every ceasefire that ever existed between Hamas in Gaza and Israel, and they have declared that they will do it again. In fact, they will massacre more Jews. So the ceasefire calls that you see around the world are really barbaric in nature. Either they have no idea what's going on, no idea what Hamas is, or they really don't care if there's another massacre like October 7.
But why do you think it seems like the UN has not condemned Hamas?
Well, that's sort of unfortunately for obvious reasons. There are entirely too many governments there that side with Hamas, that justify what Hamas did. You know, it's obviously barbaric and evil to justify mass rapes and beheadings of babies, etc. But people have this curious blind spot, especially in the Arab world, when it comes to Jews.
So do you think it was the right move for the U.S. to abstain in the vote for this resolution?
Well, I understand why they didn't veto it, because humanitarian aid just sounds like too nice a thing. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but unfortunately what actually happens is those humanitarian aid trucks roll in to Gaza destined for others, and Hamas fighters immediately leap on top of the trucks and shoot at civilians who dare approach them. So any humanitarian aid that is going into Gaza is going directly into the mouths of Hamas fighters and not into innocent women and children. Think about that for a moment, and you understand how evil it is that those governments around the world are not condemning Hamas and calling for Hamas to lay down its weapons. It's the only way to peace.
So if we're sending aid to Gaza, how can we prevent Hamas from taking it?
Only with military force. Hamas is jumping on top of the aid trucks, taking all of the aid for themselves, shooting at civilians who come near them. There's enough evidence of this to satisfy anybody. So this is another one of those meaningless UN resolutions that really, at the end of the day, only serve to up and enhance terror. But it's got the right sound, so therefore everybody has to let it go through.
And another question, we're hearing reports of the first U.S. citizen hostage killed by Hamas. What can the U.S. do here to rescue remaining U.S. hostages and prevent more deaths like this from happening again in the future?
Well, unfortunately, I would say it's the first American civilian death that we know about. There were over a dozen, I think maybe 24 Americans who were kidnapped into Gaza in the wake of this horrific terror attack. And obviously, they're not being well treated while they're there. He was apparently critically injured, so it's not really a surprise. What's a surprise is that we know about it, because Hamas is trying to delay any information on the well-being of the hostages from getting out.